Let me ask you something right now. What are you expecting from life? From your work, your relationships, your future? Because here's the truth. You don't get what you want, you get what you expect. We've been trained, sometimes by society, sometimes by experience, to lower our expectations so we don't feel disappointed. But lowering your expectations doesn't protect you, it limits you. When you expect less, you settle for less. You start calling comfort, peace, and resignation wisdom. And slowly, without realizing it, you start shrinking your world. You stop asking, you stop trying, you stop believing. But the people who live extraordinary lives, the people who create real transformation, they expect more. Not in some entitled, the world owes me kind of way. No, they expect more because they believe more is possible. They raise their internal thermostat. They change the default settings of their life. And that's what I want for you right now. I want you to raise your expectations. Get ready for more. Not because it's guaranteed, not because it's easy, but because when you expect more, you prepare differently. You show up differently. You listen harder. You take that extra step. You make that tough call. You go again when everyone else has called it a day. Expectation isn't just a mental exercise. It's an energetic shift. When you start believing that more is available to you, you start to see opportunities that were always there but hidden by disbelief. Your brain goes to work in a different way. Your body moves with a different energy. You start attracting new people, new ideas, new momentum. Not because they suddenly appeared, but because now you're finally in alignment with them. I'm not talking about toxic positivity. I'm not telling you to fake it till you make it. I'm saying your standard of expectation becomes the baseline of your preparation. If you expect average, you prepare average. If you expect excellence, you prepare like your life depends on it. And sometimes it does. So the question becomes, what are you expecting from this next season of your life? Are you expecting it to be more of the same? Are you expecting things to get harder, more complicated, more discouraging? Or are you expecting something greater, deeper, stronger to emerge from you? Because if you're going to get ready for more, it has to start here, inside, in your thoughts, in your language, in your expectations. You've got to begin to say to yourself, there is more in me. There is more available. There is more coming, not someday, but soon. And don't confuse expectation with passivity. This isn't about waiting for life to hand you something. It's about stepping into alignment with the kind of person who can handle more. Because here's another truth. You won't receive what you're not ready to manage. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're willing and prepared to carry. That's why raising your expectations isn't arrogant. It's responsible. It pulls you toward growth. It demands action. It demands discipline. It demands honesty. Because when you expect more from life, life turns around and expects more from you. And I know some of you are thinking, but I've expected things before, and I got let down. That's real. I hear that. Maybe you expected someone to show up and they didn't. Maybe you believed for a breakthrough and it didn't come in the way you thought it would. Maybe you were disappointed. That's part of life. That's part of growth. But don't let that disappointment define your expectation. Let it refine it. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it strengthen your resolve. Let it teach you, but don't let it teach you to expect less. Because when you expect less, you start dying while you're still breathing. You stop showing up. You stop reaching. You stop risking. And that's not who you are. You were built for more. You were born for more. And the moment you believe that, not in some wishful thinking kind of way, but in the marrow of your bones, you start living like it. You start preparing like it. You stop tolerating mediocrity. You stop dancing around your potential. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You start claiming it. And here's the shift. Once you expect more, you become more. The version of you that's coming, the version that's ready for more, doesn't show up when life hands it over. It shows up when you decide to start living like it's already here. So get ready. Because more is not only possible, it's already on the way. Let's move. Let's talk about something we don't always like to talk about. Challenges. You see, it's easy to get fired up when we talk about more. More success, more love, more fulfillment, more peace, more purpose. But let me tell you the truth that no one likes to admit. More doesn't just come wrapped up with a bow. More comes with weight. More comes with responsibility. More comes with pressure. You don't just get more because you want it. You get more because you're willing to be stretched for it. Everybody wants to rise, but few people want to be pulled. They want the elevation, but they don't want the resistance. And that's the myth we've got to break right now. Because if you're going to get ready for more, you can't just prepare for the reward. You've got to prepare for the resistance that comes with it. You've got to build the kind of strength that doesn't fold when the pressure hits. Let's make this plain. When life starts increasing you, life also starts testing you. You want more visibility. You'd better be ready for more scrutiny. You want more influence. Then you better be ready to hold more integrity. You want deeper love, stronger relationships, more powerful impact. Then guess what? It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you your comfort. It's going to cost you some of your old habits. It's going to cost you your excuses. More doesn't just ask for your potential, it demands your preparation. I'm not here to tell you that the path will be easy. I'm here to tell you it'll be worth it. But only if you stop waiting for a perfect season. Stop waiting for every obstacle to disappear before you decide to move forward. Because the more you ask for, the more responsibility is going to meet you at the door. And it won't knock softly. Some of you are praying for doors to open, and the truth is, some of those doors are already unlocked. But you haven't walked through because you don't want to feel uncomfortable. You don't want to be stretched. You're waiting for courage to show up before you act. But let me tell you something, courage doesn't come before the challenge. Courage shows up in the middle of it. You grow into the person who can handle more by walking through the fire, not avoiding it. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I have what it takes. Good. That means you're not relying on your ego. That means you're awake. That means you're paying attention. But don't confuse fear with failure. Fear is just a signal. It means you're about to do something that matters. It means you're about to level up. And when that fear comes, and it will come, I need you to stop shrinking back. Don't pack up your potential just because it's heavy to carry. You weren't made for easy. You were made for capacity. There's something powerful that happens when you stop resisting the resistance. When you stop trying to dodge every challenge and instead train for them. Because when you prepare for challenges, you stop being surprised by them. You stop being knocked down by every delay, every detour, every disappointment. You stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. Some of the greatest growth you'll ever experience won't come from the days where everything goes right. It'll come from the days where everything goes wrong, and you keep going anyway. When your heart is breaking, and you keep showing up. When the world doubts you, and you still believe in yourself. When nobody claps, and you still finish the job. That's the kind of readiness more requires. That's the level of grit it demands. Listen, your next season isn't just going to test your skills. It's going to test your spirit. It's going to ask, can you still believe when it looks like nothing's changing? It's going to ask, can you still lead when no one's following? It's going to ask, can you carry the weight of the blessing without breaking under the pressure? That's why we don't just get ready for the rewards. We get ready for the realities that come with them. And when you're prepared, not just to succeed but to struggle well, you become unstoppable. You stop reacting to adversity, and you start rising in the middle of it. So don't just ask for more, train for it, strengthen for it, expect the resistance, and then rise through it. Get ready for more, because more is going to ask more of you. Let me tell you something that changed the game for me, and it might shift something in you too. You cannot step into more with the same mind that kept you stuck. You've got to upgrade your mindset. You've got to upgrade your thinking before you ever upgrade your results. And that's not just a nice quote. That's reality. Every single one of us is walking around with a set of beliefs about who we are, what we're capable of, what's possible, what we deserve, and what we're allowed to reach for. And those beliefs, most of them got built a long time ago, sometimes by people who didn't believe in themselves. Parents, teachers, bosses, society, whoever it was, they handed us these invisible instructions that said, stay here. Don't ask for too much. Be realistic. Don't expect too big. Play it safe. And we didn't even question it. We just put those beliefs on like a coat, and we've been wearing them ever since, wondering why we still feel cold. But listen, if you're going to get ready for more, you've got to take that coat off. You've got to start examining what you believe and asking yourself, is this mine? Or did I inherit this from somebody else? Because if your thinking is small, your life will stay small. If your mind is wired for limits, your results will always reflect that. Not because you're not gifted, not because you're not worthy, but because you're operating on an outdated system. You don't need a new life. You need a new lens. You need to start seeing yourself through the truth of your potential, not the pain of your past. You've got to stop letting past disappointments make permanent decisions in your mind. Just because you've been through it doesn't mean you are it. Just because you failed doesn't make you a failure. Just because they left doesn't mean you're unlovable. You've got to break up with those old definitions and write a new one. One that's rooted in truth and not in trauma. Now, I'm not saying this is easy. Mindset work isn't some weekend project. It's grainy. It's uncomfortable. It's going to feel fake at first. But you've got to train your thoughts like you train your body. You wouldn't go to the gym once and expect to be fit for life, would you? Same thing here. You've got to build mental muscle. You've got to be intentional about what voices you listen to, what words you say to yourself, what stories you replay in your head. You've got to stop rehearsing defeat and start rehearsing destiny. Some of you wake up and immediately start thinking of everything that could go wrong. You've trained your mind to expect pain, to expect struggle, to expect betrayal. And so even when good shows up, you sabotage it. Because your mindset isn't ready to receive what you say you want. That's why this work matters. Because your next level won't come to the current version of you. It's waiting for the version who thinks bigger, trusts deeper, loves harder, and fears less. Let me ask you, what would shift if you stopped identifying with your limitations? What if you stopped saying, I'm just not good with money? Or, I've always been this way? Or, people like me don't get those opportunities? What if you flipped the script and started saying, I'm still learning, but I'm growing? Or, I haven't seen it yet, but I believe it's possible. That's not lying to yourself. That's leading yourself. That's you taking command of your narrative and saying, this is where the old story ends, and the new one begins. I'm telling you right now, everything can change when you change your mind. Not just the way you think, but what you think is even possible. Because a transformed mind creates a transformed life. When you believe more, you show up with more power. You walk in rooms differently. You speak with authority. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop shrinking to make other people comfortable. You stop hesitating every time an opportunity shows up. Your mind is your foundation. If it's cracked, everything you build on it will eventually crumble. So fix the foundation, rebuild it with belief, with vision, with truth, with the fire that says, I may not be there yet, but I'm not going back. That's how you get ready for more. You rewire the source of everything. Because when your mindset shifts, your entire world starts to bend in that direction. Get ready for more, because it all starts in your mind. Let me be straight with you. If you want more, you've got to expect more. But expecting more isn't enough. You've got to demand more from yourself, from your habits, from your time, from the way you show up when nobody's watching. Too many people are waiting on life to level them up when they haven't even raised their own standard. You can't ask for more and keep operating at average. That doesn't match. You can't want next level outcomes with first level effort. There's a gap between who you are and who you're becoming. And the only thing that bridges that gap is discipline and action. Period. We live in a world right now that celebrates the idea of more, but tries to shortcut the process. We want to manifest it, speak it, vibe it. But we don't want to do it. And listen, I believe in vision. I believe in alignment. But vision without action is just a dream. And too many of us are dreaming while our life is moving on without us. We're repeating the same year over and over, calling it growth. It's not growth. It's comfort. It's habit dressed up in hope. If you're serious about stepping into more, then you've got to raise your standards so high that the old version of you can't survive there. Raise your standard for how you treat your body. Raise your standard for how you speak to yourself. Raise your standard for how you show up in your relationships. Raise your standard for what you tolerate from your own excuses. That voice in your head that says, let's skip today, or it's not that deep, or you'll do it tomorrow. You've got to check that voice, because that voice is not your friend. That voice is your comfort zone trying to negotiate with your calling. And let me tell you what happens when you raise your standards. Life pushes back. Not because you're not worthy, but because it wants to know if you mean it. The moment you raise your standard, your life will start testing your commitment to it. You say you want more peace. People are going to come and try to disturb it. You say you want to be more focused. Distractions are going to double. You say you want to level up your work ethic. Your energy is going to be tested. Don't run from that. That's the proving ground. That's where you build the grit that holds the weight of the future you're stepping into. When you start demanding more from yourself, you stop accepting excuses that used to sound reasonable. You stop making room for laziness. You stop negotiating with things that steal your time, because your goals aren't suggestions. They're assignments. You don't hope to get there. You commit to it like your life depends on it. Because guess what? It does. Your peace depends on it. Your freedom depends on it. Your legacy depends on it. You've got to get to a place where the standard becomes non-negotiable. Where it's not up for debate whether or not you show up. Where you don't need perfect conditions to do the work. You do the work because that's who you are now. That's the level you've chosen to live at. You become unavailable to anything less than your best. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you finally respect yourself enough to follow through. Some of you have a higher standard for how other people treat you than you have for how you treat yourself. You don't let anyone talk to you crazy, but you speak to yourself like you're worthless. You won't let a partner be inconsistent, but you're inconsistent with your own goals. And I'm not judging you, I'm calling you up, because the gap between who you are and who you could be, that gap is filled with standards. When you raise them, your actions follow. There's a certain fire that shows up in your life when you decide, this is just who I am now. I don't skip steps. I don't talk down to myself. I don't run from hard conversations. I don't ghost my goals. I don't shrink to stay lickable. I don't wait for someone else to co-sign my greatness. I show up. I deliver. I keep going. And if I fall, I get back up with more clarity and more fire. Because when you set a new standard and back it up with action, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for more. You prepare for it. You attract it. You earn it. And when it shows up, you're not surprised. You're ready. Get ready for more again. Start by demanding more from you. You know what people ask me all the time? How do I stay motivated? And I get it. Motivation feels good. It's exciting. It's loud. It gets your heart beating fast. But here's the truth, most people don't want to hear motivation is not enough. You can't rely on motivation to carry you into your purpose. Because motivation fades. It burns hot, and then it burns out. What you need isn't just motivation, you need momentum. Momentum is different. Momentum doesn't care how you feel. Momentum doesn't wait for you to be in the mood. Momentum is built by what you consistently do when nobody's clapping, when nobody's looking, when you'd rather quit. Momentum is what carries you on the days when motivation takes a day off. See, anybody can get excited. Anybody can post a quote, write a goal, shout a vision. That's easy. But it's not what you say in January that changes your life. It's what you keep doing in March, in July, in November, when life starts punching back. That's when it counts. That's when you find out who's really ready for more and who just like the sound of it. And if you're serious about more peace, more power, more purpose, then you've got to build daily habits that move you forward, even if it's just an inch at a time. That inch, that's where your life changes. Because progress doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it's you getting up and doing the same thing over and over and over again without applause, without confirmation, without anyone saying, good job. But every rep counts. Every small step stacks. Every decision to keep going builds the momentum you need to break through. Let me tell you something, consistency beats intensity every time. You can go hard for 2 weeks and then disappear for 3 months. Or you can show up every day with intention and watch your entire life shift. It's not about being perfect. It's about not stopping. It's about building habits that carry your vision when your emotions can't. There will be days when the fire is low. Days when doubt creeps in. Days when the results don't match the effort. And it's in those moments that most people stop. They think the lack of excitement means something's wrong. But no. That's the test. That's the grind. That's the becoming. You're not just building results. You're building resilience. And resilience is what creates real change. Momentum is like a train. At first, it takes massive effort to get it moving. You're pushing, straining, sweating, and it feels like nothing's happening. But if you don't stop, if you just keep pushing, it starts to roll, slowly at first, then a little faster. Then one day it's carrying you. That's the power of compounded consistency. That's how momentum works. And hear me on this, you don't need to make massive moves to create massive change. You just need to move intentionally every day. You need to decide what matters most and give your energy to that, not to distractions, not to drama, not to doubters. Every day, you wake up and say, what's one step I take today to align with who I'm becoming? One step. That's how you win. Some of you are waiting to feel ready. But readiness doesn't come before action. It comes from action. The more you move, the more you believe. The more you follow through, the more your self-trust grows. You stop questioning yourself because you've got evidence. You've seen yourself keep going when it was hard, when it was lonely, when it was inconvenient. And that kind of belief, that's unshakable. You've got to stop treating your future like it's fragile. Stop walking on eggshells with your potential. Stop saying, maybe next year. Stop waiting for a sign. You are the sign, and the moment you get serious about building momentum, through discipline, through consistency, through showing up whether you feel like it or not, that's the moment everything starts to change. Because once you've got momentum, you're dangerous. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop waiting for permission. You don't need hype anymore. You don't need validation. You just go. You become your own fire. You become unstoppable. Not because it's easy, but because you built strength in the days when it was hard. And when you've got that kind of momentum, life doesn't have to hand you more. You'll go out and get it. Get ready for more and let your habits build the future your feelings can't. Let me leave you with this, and I want you to really sit with it. You're not doing this just for you. The next level of your life, the more that's coming. It's not just about what you get. It's about what you give. It's about how your breakthrough unlocks somebody else's. It's about how your obedience to your calling creates space for someone else to believe in theirs. We're all connected, whether we like it or not. And the truth is, someone is waiting on the other side of your decision to rise. You becoming more isn't selfish. It's service. Because every time you choose growth over comfort, you don't just change your life, you change the standard for everyone who watches you. You show people what's possible. You model resilience. You redefine what's normal. You break cycles that generations before you couldn't. And you build a foundation that generations after you will stand on. That's what legacy really is. It's not just about money or status or success. It's about impact. It's about knowing that you took what life gave you, every challenge, every setback, every painful moment, and you turned it into purpose. You used it. You didn't waste your story. You didn't let fear have the final word. You stood in the gap and said, it stops with me. That kind of decision, that kind of power, that's how you become the one who changes everything. But here's the part most people skip. Impact doesn't start with a big platform. It starts with small integrity. It starts with the choices you make in private. How you treat people when there's nothing to gain. How you speak to yourself when no one's around to cheer you on. That's where real impact is born. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Some of you are waiting to be visible before you believe your life has value. You think you have to arrive before you can make a difference. But let me tell you something. You don't need a stage to shift a room. You don't need followers to influence a generation. You need clarity, you need courage, and you need consistency. That's it. You get those three things aligned, and your presence will start shaking rooms long before you ever grab a mic. You've got to stop underestimating your example. There's somebody watching how you handle adversity. somebody watching how you rebuild after loss, somebody watching how you stay faithful to your process, even when nothing seems to be happening. And you don't even know it, but your perseverance is giving them permission to keep going. Your faith is reminding them what's possible. Your strength is telling them, if they can survive that, maybe I can too. That's how powerful your life is. That's how sacred your yes is. When you choose to keep rising, even in pain, even in uncertainty, even in silence, that choice echoes. It doesn't just impact your house, it ripples out. It hits friends, family, strangers, entire communities. The more you walk in alignment with who you're called to be, the more doors you unlock, not just for yourself, but for others. And that's not hype. That's real. But here's the key. You've got to stay rooted. Because when more starts showing up, it's easy to start drifting. It's easy to get caught in performance, to start chasing applause instead of purpose. Don't let that be you. Stay grounded in who you are. Stay anchored in why you started. Remember that more is never just for you. It's so that you can pour into others. It's so that you can multiply the blessing. It's so that you can be the kind of leader, the kind of friend, the kind of light that the world desperately needs. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing. You have to be available. You have to say, I don't have it all figured out, but I refuse to hide my gift. I refuse to waste what I've been given. I'm going to show up with what I have, where I am, and trust that it matters. Because it does. Every step you take toward your potential is a step someone else sees. Every time you refuse to quit, someone else finds the courage to keep going. Every time you speak life, push forward, give your best. That ripple hits farther than you think. So don't ever believe the lie that your effort doesn't matter. It does. It matters more than you know. Get ready for more because the world needs what's in you.